Assalamu alaikum, I am your sister Naomi Saif, and I had to cut this into two parts. So this is part 2 of 10 things that I consider to be cool about Islam, and not because I'm Muslim. So the 5 things that I talked about in the previous message was, number 1 is the concept that God is one, and that there is no intercessor, no mediator. You don't have to go to the Pope, you don't have to be baptized, you don't have to join a class, you don't have to do any of that. You know, you believe in the concept of one God, that's this, and there's more to it. But the number 1 is one God, you know? So, no pork and no alcohol. I think that's cool because I gave up pork before Islam, thought it was cool. And the concept of wudu, and which is kind of like a baptism for those of us that are not Muslims. That are more familiar with Christianity. It's a spiritual, it's a cleansing, but it's more spiritual. It's not a literal take some soap and, you know, it's a cleansing. And another thing that I didn't mention in the previous one that I think is cool, nobody talks about, maybe it's TMI, but I think the you know, is the bathroom etiquette. Okay, when you go to the bathroom and you clean yourself, left hand. Eat with your right hand. Do your business with your left hand. When you eat food, don't touch it with your left hand. I mean, it's clean, you washed it and stuff like that. But I was like, oh my God, I thought that was cool. And watering cans. If you go to a mosque or a Muslim's home, you may see some hoses. You may see some badoy, I don't know how to pronounce it. You watering can. So, it was too TMI, but when you use the bathroom, you don't just merely, you know, you don't merely just, you know, you wash it with some water. I was like, what the, where, like, duh, like that seemed like, so I thought that was cool. I thought that was so cool. I like to be clean. Maybe that's, I don't know. So that was number 3. And number 4 was the knowledge of Quran, and I just meant Islam in general. The knowledge of, because the Quran is in Arabic. Everything else is a translation of the Quran. It's not the Quran. If I have the English version here, I can't say this is the Quran. It's just a translation of the Quran, and it's okay. You start with your translation, and you know that's good enough. But if you wanted to delve deeper, and if you wanted to say, where's the original text? What was the literal words that God used here? You know, So I think that's cool. I think that was cool. And number 5, that there are no there's no memberships to a mosque. So feel safe to visit. You know, feel safe to visit a mosque, and know that you can literally go like incognito. You can be a fly on the wall. Like I said, all you need to do is dress, you know. You don't have to dress up at all. You can wear regular clothes. Just make sure your arms are covered and have like a scarf to something similar. It doesn't have to be exact, you know. And go ahead, you know. And no one's going to greet you at the door. No one's going to ask you if you're new and what's your name and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, after the prayer service, no one's going to say, we have any visitors? You want to stand up here? Get on the mic. Where are you from? That's not going to happen. And if one were to take Shahada, if one were to become a Muslim, you are not going to be, you know, shoved papers in your face, fill out the paperwork, your address, your phone number, membership, Bible studies. It's a halakha. Islam is called halakha. These are on these days, and that doesn't exist. You know, it doesn't exist. You're gonna get books and love, and there are classes for new Muslims if you want to go, but that's open to everybody. New Muslims, born Muslims, all Muslims. That's one of my favorite things about Islam too, is that education is encouraged. So that you're not going based on the interpretation of anybody, not even an imam, not even a sheikh. No, you're going off of the Quran, and then you also, especially now with the media using hadiths and stuff like that, you learn the science, you know, of the hadiths and the sunnah of the Prophet, and it's kind of seminary school, like really, like your most elementary, your most basic Muslim is almost, to my opinion, and it's not to offend at all, your most basic Muslim, it to me is almost like a seminary graduate in regards to the church. You know, like someone that's educated, is someone that's like your basic. That's what Islam requires of us. Is to the degree where it's almost like seminary students when it comes to the church. Like, if you go to church, you don't have to know, you know, much, you know, but in Islam you are. You're to know where did this book come from? When did this book come? What does this book say? How does this and how does that, you know? So I like that. So that's 5 things. Worship of God alone. No pork, no alcohol. And I also went into that also halal. You hear about halal foods, and we only are to eat meats that are halal or kosher, they say, in Jewish terms. Organic, but not just organic because it has to be killed in a certain way. But anyways, to me that reminded me of the book of Acts in the New Testament, where it clearly goes over halal. Don't eat a meat that has been trampled on or strangled, or it goes over halal, you know. So and then in the Old Testament says that you're not supposed to eat any meat where you're only supposed to eat meat that only the name of God was pronounced over it. So that's really kosher and halal. It's the only meat that even Christians are supposed to eat, but they don't know. They don't know. They literally don't know, and preachers don't teach, and education is not encouraged. So, and so that's it. 5, okay. And then 5 more, and these have to do with hijab. So, and this is just my opinion. So, one thing that I think is cool about hijab is that the attention on your body is taken away. Now, I have lots of flaws and I'm not perfect, but I've never liked to be a showstopper. I never like to be the one that walk up in the room, everyone looks at me. So if you're that way, you will be fine too. You know, like, okay, I don't have to, oh, that makes my butt look big. Can I wear that? Oh, I can't wear that because that's showing too much. You know, like you're getting ready for church. You don't know what to wear. Do I have to dress up? Do I dress down? Do this? Do I do that? You know, in Islam, you know, when you go to the prayer service, you're encouraged to wear your best. Or if it's Eid, you dress up, you know. But in general, whatever you wear has nothing to do with your body. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with your body. So you don't have to focus on that. Like, say you're pregnant and you don't want everybody touching your belly. You can hide all that with a loose sundress and a sweater, you know, and a scarf. If you gain some weight, if you lost some weight, if you know, all that is protected. Don't nobody see all your business. We don't see men's business. We don't know what they're working with. So that's, everything is kept discreet, you know. And so, and also for breastfeeding, you know, you can nurse. You know, that's also why we have the VIP section in the women's side as well, for lots of reasons. But sometimes women, you know, want to nurse their babies, you know. But even in public, you can nurse and you have your skirt. No one has to see anything. You're not exposing yourself. So I think that's cool. Number 2, with the concept of hijab. This is a whole other science. It's really like literally like in the family of like himar or things of that nature. Hijab just means boundary, you know. So when you wear the scarf, you're practicing the etiquette of hijab, because men have hijab as well. They're not supposed to show from their knees to their belly button, and you know, we're not supposed to touch nobody, a man that we're not related to. So there's no shaking hands, you know. You put your hand over your heart and you say salams, you know, all that. And I personally thought that was cool, because I've always been a personal space type of person. Like, don't, you know, I don't like being in people's that I don't know space. I don't like them in mine, you know. And so I like that. If you're in a situation as a sister and you're around a brother, you merely, and you keep it pushing. You know, you don't have to hug him and, you know, touch him and no. Now you can hug all the men in your family that you're related to and that you're not legally allowed to marry, you know, so you don't, you know, hug your dad and stuff like that, and your brothers and your nephews and your sons and stuff like that, and you don't even have to wear cover in front of them, because they love you and they're going to value you and they're going to appreciate your beauty. So so yeah. Then number 3, with the concept of hijab, my opinion, is it gives clarity in relationships and intentions. You know, I think it's cool when you wear, you know, And this is hijab. This doesn't necessarily mean that sisters who don't wear the scarf don't practice this, because some sisters that don't wear the scarf and are Muslims do practice the concept of hijab. Yes, probably maybe some better than those of us that do wear the scarf. So in Islam, we're not allowed to date. It's kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses, like a lot of the quote-unquote stricter denominations. We're not allowed to date. It's like when a girl and when a young man and a young woman are interested in each other, then immediately it's, do you want to get married, you know? And so the intentions are made and relationships are clear. It's not like, oh, I've been seeing this guy for 3 years, but I don't know where it's going. You know, I've been dating this person, we got 5 kids, I don't know if he's the one. No, it's very clear, you're married or you're single, you know? And so I think that was cool. I think that was cool. Number 4, wearing hijab, wearing the scarf promotes, to me, individuality. You know, no one's dressed the same. Everyone has their own, you know, style, and everyone is unique. And then number 5, it gives you purpose. That's how I feel. You walk outside with a purpose. This is my uniform. This is your uniform. You know, so you go outside, and they may not know your name. They may not know where you come from. They may not know your age, but they'll know you're a Muslim. They'll know you're a Muslim, just like a cop, you know, or like the military. I like to think of Islam sometimes in a way kind of like the military, you know. We all look at them and we're like, wow, they're so disciplined, they're so in shape, and they get up at 3 and they, you know, work together in their uniform and they're marching, you know, they're just so disciplined. But do you want to do it? It's not for everybody, you know. So that's kind of how I think about Islam. It's like it's discipline, you know. Some people say it has, you know, it's the balance, you know, like Judaism has a lot of rules, 600 and something commandments, while Christianity is very, very super liberal, and Islam is the middle, you know. It has rules, and then it has room for you to be yourself as well, you know. So inshallah this helped. And like I said before, by all means, go and visit a mosque, go visit a masjid, ask questions, and inshallah it'll be a great experience. If nothing else, you'll see that there's nothing to be afraid of, and you'll see, especially if you come from the church, a lot more similarities, you know. One thing that you won't find in the mosque is singing and hooping and hollering. It's going to be quiet, you know. It's 30 minutes, you ain't going to be there for 3 hours, and who knows, you might learn something, you might pick up something that might benefit your life and help you on your quest towards gaining the approval of our Creator. You know, may Allah have mercy on us all. Assalamu alaikum.